going to move that. Hi everyone. If you don't know me, I'm Courgette Semi, and I just want to take a few moments to talk to you about your health and symptoms. I recovered from fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, arthritis, and I've been completely recovered for about 5 years now. Even though I was told by doctors, consultants, specialists that there was no cure and it wasn't something that people recovered from, fibromyalgia. So I've learned a lot in my adventure from coming out of that diagnosis and coming to recovery, and I just wanted to share something that many people may not think about. I've learned so much along the way. I believe it's just so important that we all start to think about the things that we believe and how we behave. So I want to just take a moment of your time and tell you about looking at your health in a completely different way. So if you look at your health as a flowing river, when we get symptoms, we're downstream. Okay, we're downstream in the river. Lots of things have been going wrong upstream, and we've got symptoms downstream. It's the build-up of all those things going wrong that actually give us symptoms. And when we have symptoms, what do? I know when I was in agonising pain and could barely move, it felt like I was wearing a lead suit. All I wanted to do was my symptoms to just disappear. I wanted someone to take them from me. So straight to the medical profession to find out what was going on in my body. That's normal, that's natural. I was told, there is no cure. So that was quite a devastating diagnosis. But what I wanted a pill. I wanted something to take those symptoms away. But the symptoms are the result of lots of different things going wrong. So imagine this river. You've got problem downstream. That's your symptoms. What would happen if we walked upstream and had a little look to see what the problem was, what the cause was upstream? There might be rocks, there might be wood, there might be lots of debris that's actually blocking the water flowing, and that's why we're getting symptoms. So if we keep just looking at symptoms, it's going to be a very hard route. Secondly, you're going to need to be taking medication every day just to dampen the symptoms. What we don't realise is we're actually looking at just the results of something else going wrong. We're not actually looking at the causes, which are upstream. A lot of that is due to stresses, because just like debris and all that's accumulating upstream, our stresses in our body, they accumulate throughout our lives. So it's not only current stresses that we need to look at, it's also the stresses that we felt since we were childhood, since we were young, since we were children. So I just wanted you to look at your health in a slightly different way. If you imagine there's a blockage upstream and the water's only trickling downstream, there's not going to be much life. The animals that would come to the river to drink would not come anymore. It's all going to become dry and arid, and there's not going to be much life there at all. It just becomes drier and drier. Now you can put a hose pipe on it, plant some seeds, but what you'd find you need to do is you'd need to do that every single day of your life. And that's the same with medication. If the cause isn't dealt with, you need to take that medication every day to reduce your symptoms. If you don't, the symptoms just get worse. So this is really for people with chronic symptoms, chronic pains, symptoms that keep coming back, that just don't really go away, or places where you don't heal, like back to normal, how you were before. Now, I know a lot of people, like me, don't like taking medication, But you know, when you're desperate, when you're in agonizing pain and you've got no energy and you can barely move, then you take it, just like I did. I took medication and strong painkillers, amitriptyline, lots of different things that caused lots of other problems. So I had to take more medication, and I did take them because I was desperate. There was nothing else that I could do. There was no other route for me to go. And just like most people do, I was just concerned with the symptoms. I was just concerned with what's going on downstream. Now, I found that I'm very sensitive to medication. I'd never really liked taking it. And I believe, you know, there's so many of us out there. And I still took it because I didn't know what else to do. However, I stopped taking it quite quickly, because one day I was trying to cross a road and I didn't know, I couldn't tell if cars were coming. I didn't quite know where I was. I was in a bit of a daze. And so there and then I stopped taking all my medication, and I hadn't even taken it for a week, but that was my body's reaction. So then I was left downstream with all these symptoms. What was I going to do? Well, I had to learn something completely new. I learned so much, things that I hadn't been taught in my medical training as an optometrist, and I had to start from scratch. But what I did realise quite quickly was that if I could look upstream, look at what was causing it in the first place, then actually I could deal with it there and I would never have to experience this again. So that's exactly what I did. So this, I'm not going to go into that right now because that's another video, but I just wanted you to look at how we look at our health and how we look at our symptoms. I took that walk upstream and I had a look to see what was blocked in my river, and I started to clear it. I cleared the logs, I cleared the rocks, and I've been healthy, living a normal life, going to Pilates twice a week, teaching my clients how to walk upstream and find all the missing pieces that aren't otherwise looked at. So I wanted you to start thinking about your health as a river and make a conscious choice. Reflect on it. Think to yourself, does that make sense? You know, when you take medication for blood pressure and diabetes, what you're doing essentially is putting the hose pipe in every day downstream. You're not actually ever looking at the cause. And, you know, people do reverse those conditions too. And there's so many ways we can do that. We don't know because we're not taught, and it's a completely different way of thinking. So today was really about, how do you think about your health and your symptoms, and what would you really want to do? What makes sense for you? For me, nothing else makes sense now. I look straight at the causes, and it's empowered me in my life, in my health in the future, and I get to share that with my clients, my family and my friends. So I hope you found this useful. I want you to reflect and comment below if you found this useful, strange, or if it made sense to you. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks very much. Thank you for spending this time with me, and I look forward to hearing from you. Take care. Bye.